Season 40, War number 10, and we are up against X-K9. And this time my team will be Valkyrie, Tigra and Nick Fury. I have 8 fights this war, a bit of a lighter load because I was sick at the time of this war, and more on that in a little bit. I'm taking Path 4 in Section 1, Path 1 in Section 2, as well as that thing on the shared fight, and then I'm taking all the right side mini-bosses. I was only supposed to take the first 2 there, but I ended up taking Spider-Ham anyways. Up first we have a spot on the steady build of Fury and running on Fumes nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Nick Fury. The game plan here is to just spam heavy attacks for the whole fight, and that's about it. Every time Nick Fury knocks down the defender, he shrugs off all non-damaging debuffs on him, and all damaging debuffs as well if he has at least 10 tactical charges. But the main thing here is that you can get rid of all those non-damaging debuffs you constantly get on yourself by simply knocking down the defender, and you get the passive furies from the node by doing it. That increases your damage a lot, and you will also be healing up constantly due to willpower, because Nick Fury removed the heal poke debuff at the start of the fight. Now, Spot can be an annoying defender to fight, but yeah, on this node with Nick Fury it's very simple. All you need to do is just parry heavy and he will drop pretty quickly. The fight is over in less than a minute, and he didn't get to trigger his untouchable even once. Even if he did, all you need to do is just wait it out and keep doing parry heavies. And then we have a man thing on the steady build up Fury and long distance relationship nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Nick Fury. Now the game plan here is the same as it was for the previous fight. I'm just gonna be spamming parry heavy to remove any and all debuffs I get on me. And then I'm also gonna be spamming special ones to build up my tactical charges, which will stay paused due to the passive furies I get from the node. The plan is to get at least 10 tactical charges, so I can shrug off any of the poison debuffs as well every time I knock down the defender, so that I don't have to worry about any of that. Now this is gonna be a long fight even with the passive furies from the node, since Man-Thing is very tanky and he's immune to bleed, so this is gonna take a while. Now, I should mention that when the war started, I was sick, I was running a fever, so all the war planning, well, I wasn't exactly there when we were doing it, so my own assignments are a bit sketchy, this one included. I have another one that is also not a great matchup at all, coming up later this war, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now that I'm at 12 tactical charges, every time I knock down the defender I'm also gonna be shrugging the poison debuff, so I don't have to worry about any of that. Still, Mystic Dispersion is an issue. Whenever he nullifies those buffs on me, or whenever they expire, he is gonna gain a burst of power, and that just means I gotta bait a lot of specials. He does also have regen, which is not too potent, but it does make the fight even longer, and yeah, this one definitely hurt our fight time. Probably wouldn't assign this fight again unless absolutely necessary, simply because it takes way too long, and even though it is safe, there are better options. Now I'm at 16 tactical charges, I'm fully unblockable, I shrug off all debuffs whenever I knock down the defender, so all I need to do now is just hit him until he drops. I'm building up the special 2 here to try to speed things up a bit, but yeah, it doesn't do all that much damage. So yeah, this fight has gone for over 2 minutes at this point, and he's still standing. For a little bit at least. That was a very long fight. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you don't care about fight time at all, it does work. Next up we have a Wong on the Never Back Down node, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie. Now this matchup isn't the best either, but my thinking was that since Valkyrie completely bypasses Unstoppable, this should be a decent option. Now that being said, that is the only thing I have going on for me here. I can't shut down the regen, I won't do anything to his power gain, and yeah, so I simply just have to not dash back too much to avoid triggering the regen, or I have to out damage it. As you can see, the regen is pretty potent. So the way I decided to go about taking this fight is by waiting his special 2s to avoid him triggering any of his spells. I build up my Pierce buffs and one Bulwark buff as well to increase my damage and to make me immune to stun debuffs just in case, and then just go for a special 2 nuke and hit into the block as much as possible while the passive Fury is still up. Fight goes down in under a minute, but I did get the cross fight from Wong there, which is gonna come into play a little bit later. Now you may be wondering why I'm throwing on my Mystic boosts here, even though the next fight is a Killmonger. And the answer to that is, I'm taking this guy with Tigra. So we have a Killmonger on buffet over time, and the game plan is to nuke the guy down with Tigra special 2. The issue here is that whenever you trigger debuffs on Killmonger, he gains a lot of power. As we can see there, a single heavy got him to almost 2 bars of power. So this is not a great matchup at all. I completely missed this while I was doing the plan. Once again I had a fever, so I was not in my right mind. But yeah, I made it work. I've done this matchup in BGs before, so I knew it was possible. But I was not too confident trying it in War. Luckily it worked out alright this time, but that's definitely something I don't want to try again if I don't have to. And then we have a thing on strike, counter, block penetration and never back down nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra. Now this one is a lot more normal matchup for Tigra than the previous fight, and it's basically just a normal thing. I'm not gonna be paying too much attention to this strike, counter, block penetration node. It doesn't really make a difference here. I'm not blocking too much, and the game plan is to just, well, nuke him down like Tigra does. Never back down isn't an issue because Tigra's damage outpaces it without any issues, and I also have Despair on to reduce the healing with all the debuffs I have. So now all that's left is to just get the special 2s with some Ruptures up, drop the special 2s and watch his health go down. A very simple Tigra fight, as long as you can manage the rock stacks just fine, and he goes down without any issues. Then we have a Gorr on the Safeguard miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra. The game plan is to just take this guy down by nuking him down with a couple special 2s, and that's about it. I will not be going for any special heavy counters or anything. I'm just gonna be parrying, doing normal 5-hit combos to take this guy down. Mainly because, once again, I was sick and not feeling too confident. I didn't want to mess up the spacing, and against Gorr you really don't need anything special. He will not trigger his regen when you attack him, so he's not gonna be unblockable on this node, and yeah, Tigra's damage is enough just by itself without any extra finesse that you can just do this and he'll go down without any issues. I did miss the first hit of my special 2 there. Luckily he didn't start dexing out of it. If he would have, I would have dropped my senses and it would not have been enough to finish him off. But luckily the last parts of the special connected just fine. Next up we have a Mole Man on the Stunning Reflection and Polka Dot Power miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie. The game plan was to get a Pierce buff before Mole Man got the special one, so that I could ignore the Unstoppable before he has a chance to gain any monster mass. But the crossfight from Wong almost messed that up. But instead of getting the special 1, he shot up all the way to special 2, and I did get the first Pierce up before he gained any mass. Now at this point the fight is basically over. I don't have to worry about any of his abilities, as long as I don't get clipped by something, or I don't try to parry him by accident. This fight is gonna go down without any issues. I can hit him directly, I can hit him into his block just fine, the Unstoppable won't do anything, and yeah, Valkyrie has this fight on lockdown. To speed things up, I do want to try to hit only into his block so that I can gain power in this fight, since due to Polka Dot Power I don't gain any power from hitting the opponent or getting hit directly, so the only way for Valkyrie to gain power is by hitting the opponent's block. And the reason why I want to do that is to get to my special 2, to speed things up a bit with the passive fury I get from it, and that just allows me to nuke the rest of this fight down pretty quickly. But yeah, this is still gonna be a pretty long fight, as Valkyrie fights usually are. Sometimes these smaller health pools and all that can go pretty quickly, but most of the time you're looking at a minute and a half, 2 minutes for Valkyrie fights. So she definitely isn't the fastest option for war fights, but she is one of the safest options if you know how to use her. Then we have the final fight of this war, a Spider Ham on the Brute Force miniboss node, and I'm taking it with Nick Fury. Now this fight was assigned to a rank 5 Hercules at first, and like I did in a previous war video, I used my rank 4 Hercules. This guy dropped in less than a minute, no issues whatsoever, but the guy taking it wasn't too confident, and since I had my Nick Fury available right here, I figured that I might as well take it. But I forgot about one little key detail here. I did not put on deep wounds. So those big bleeds on my 4th light attack, well, they do a lot of damage, they don't last long at all, and this fight is gonna take a while. I need to keep spamming my special 1 to dump my power so that he doesn't gain too much of his nonsense, because once he gets to 6, he will start randomly evading, and then there's all the power stings and everything you have to worry about, making this fight a lot scarier than it needs to be. Now one thing that also was a bit of a concern for me here is the fact that this is a rank 5 Spider Ham, so he's very tanky. Now you also see me punishing the special 1 with heavy attacks quite often, and the reason for that is to remove the taunt debuff. Sometimes having the taunt is nice, because it does give you that free willpower healing, but the issue with that is that it reduces your attack as well. I believe the taunt on Spider Ham lowers your attack by 40%, and that combined with inequity if the defender is running it, means that a long fight is gonna be a lot longer if you don't remove the debuff. And like I said in the section 1 fights, whenever Nick Fury knocks down the defender, he shrugs off all non-damaging debuffs, getting rid of the taunt debuff quite easily. Now we are 2 minutes into the fight, and this Spider Ham is still at 40%, which is not great. I'm ticking down quite a lot from the Brute Force degen as well, and I really don't want to get to my 2nd life. Having the damage bonus from being in the 2nd life would be nice to have to make this fight a lot faster, but I do not want to sit at 30% or less for a war fight, especially one where I will tick down if the AI decides to be passive. Now all my real issues in this fight would have been solved if I just put on the deep wound mastery, as I should have, but for some reason I just didn't think of it, and yeah, that probably cost us the war on fight time. As for the actual deaths, we are leading by 1 at this point, so as long as we don't die anymore, we will win this. But I basically single-handedly killed our fight time as an alliance with these fights that I had assigned myself. Although I guess the Spider Ham wasn't my assignment, but anyways, not great. As for the results, and despite me single-handedly killing our fight time, we did end up winning the war 2-1. We only had a single death as an alliance, and we won by a single death as well. So I'm definitely happy that I didn't cost us this war by simply being too slow with my assignments. So yeah, don't plan war if you're running a fever. It usually doesn't end well.